If you struggle with your weight and you feel like you've tried every diet, fad, and trick under the sun, or if you've made the decision to start your journey, then this is the video you need to watch, because it is exactly what I wish I had watched decades ago to save all the time that I've lost, and not to mention frustration and heartbreak. You may think, what does this guy know about weight loss? Well, I've lost over 110 pounds so far on my journey that I started about a year and a half ago, and I am in my 30s. I know what it's like to struggle to find what works for me. Fitness influencers that have always had a six-pack or was once maybe 20 pounds overweight don't really understand the struggle like we do. Now, if you look at Reddit's subreddit Lose It, you'll see there is a general consensus that it's all CICO, calories in, calories out, which technically, yes, that is correct, absolutely. If you're looking at this from a purely physics perspective, what is always neglected from what I've seen is the human factor. This is where it tends to break down. I don't know about you, but I was so sick and tired of just
eat less and you'll lose weight.
Yeah, that's easy to do if you're a machine and not impacted by human factors such as cravings, trigger foods, and decades of social engineering for the marketing strategies that make you want to buy the junk food, and not to mention all the additives and engineered sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup is heavily regulated and even banned in other countries, while in America it's subsidized and very cheap for corporations to put in the food. I mean, why does ketchup need high fructose corn syrup anyway? Personally, through my journey, I found that these additives made it basically impossible for me to sustainably lose weight. Not everyone is as heavily impacted by these additives and sweeteners, so your miles may vary. So if you're ready to begin your new life, but you're really not sure where to get started, well, I will go step by step on how I, after decades of trying to lose weight, got started and successfully have lost over 100 pounds and not gained it back. During my weight loss journey, I did a lot of journaling and a lot of reflection. And I was able to use that to go back to kind of see what I did. And I came up with this chart because I'm sure there's other people out there that struggled or struggles with finding exactly like what they need to do to either stop a cycle or to begin their journey and not make the same mistakes that others like me have made. So here's like a flow chart that I came up with that goes over it. I'll put it in the description, so if you want to download it and follow it yourself. The first thing is counting calories. It's all about calories. It's the reality of it. Does that mean you have to count calories? No, it doesn't. You don't have to. I didn't when I first started, but that was because I was almost 400 pounds. And just by making small changes, I was able to see big results. So one thing that I did was substituting one unhealthy item and replacing with a healthier one. So instead of like a candy bar, I would grab like some pineapple or watermelon or some sort of fruit, and then I would do that for 2 weeks. And then once I got that habit formed, I would go and do another habit and replacing another item. And then I would also start reducing portion sizes by small amounts each time that I would hit a plateau. And I was just by doing this top one right here, I was seeing a lot of success with it. If you seek success, you keep doing it. It's pretty simple, right? And if you slip up or if you don't see success, well, how long were you doing it? Was it more than 2 weeks? Was it less than 2 weeks? The reason why I have it as broken as 2 weeks is it takes, for me, it takes about 2 weeks to form a habit. Some it takes maybe a week. Others, maybe it takes them 3 weeks. So if it was less than 2 weeks, obviously the change that was made was too drastic. Whether it seems like a small change doesn't really matter because it was not sustainable. So you got to make a less drastic change. So even if you removed one candy bar out of your diet for one meal, make it half a candy bar. Start there. You gotta start somewhere. You gotta start small in order to make sustainable changes. If it was over 2 weeks, determine the root cause of why you weren't able to sustain it and implement countermeasures. Usually that is because of some sort of life event, like you got to go out of town for working, and then once you break that's routine that you're in, that's when variables that are unpredictable can be implemented or introduced into your habits and routines and cause issues. If it was like a work trip and you stop doing it, just note it somewhere, like write it in if you have a journal, write it in your journal. Just be mindful of it and implement any sort of countermeasures that will prevent you from doing it again, whether it's bringing some food with you or making a set of rules for whenever you travel. Like for me, everyone tends to go out to eat whenever I travel for work, and so I've made rules for when I go out to travel. I will only buy certain things on the menu, whether it's chicken or fish. That's just for what works for me. You gotta do what works for you. Then you do it again. So you've removed a candy bar from your diet, remove soda, remove anything that you feel is unhealthy or not nutritious for you. So I followed this until I was about, have to double check, but I think I'd lost like 60 pounds before I really started to really count my calories. I think I was like 340 pounds. So when you're at the point of counting calories, the first thing you have to do is determine how many calories you burn in a day. And everyone is different. It's based on your weight, your height, your age, gender, everything. It's all dependent. The calculators that I've used personally, not accurate at all, because it says I had to consume 3,000 calories. That is not correct for me because I was gaining weight consuming 3,000 calories. So through trial and error, I just kept reducing until I found my TDE, which for me was 1,800 calories. And that's because I'm not as active, especially at that weight that I was at. I've had to reduce it a little bit more since then because I've lost another, like 50 pounds. But yeah, find your TDE. Once you've determined the amount of calories that you need to determine a way to consume food that is sustainable for you. A lot of people push for keto or vegan. Intermittent fasting is big. Paleo, I've seen that a couple of times. And there's OMAD, 1 meal a day. It doesn't matter. It's all the same pathway, or it's different pathways to get to the same destination. But what you need to do is determine what is best for you, your lifestyle, and what you prefer, and what you're able to sustainably keep up with, because you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. And it doesn't mean that you have to go only vegan or only keto and that's it. You can do different things. For me personally, I like the intermittent fasting because I work, and whenever I'm working, it's not easy for me to get food. So the intermittent fasting is great. And also because I like to eat before I go to bed. I don't know why. It's a habit that I was not able to break because I can't go to bed hungry. I've dabbled in the vegan side of things before. It's fine. It's great. I've done the keto. It's fine. I've done I've done low carb. I just eat what is not trigger foods for me and meets my macros. The next section is, I would argue, as important as the diet itself, and that's the habits. Where do I begin on this one? It is incredibly crucial to start building your habits. And the only way to do that is to make small changes over time, gradually, to be sustainable, right? And some examples, like when you walk by a certain restaurant, like coming back from work, I would always drive by Starbucks. And then I got in the habit of driving by there and getting I think it's like the venti frappuccino caramel with extra caramel drizzle. And I never calculated the calories on that, but I cannot imagine how many calories that was. And I would also go by Chipotle to get the biggest burritos you could possibly imagine. I'd get like 2 or 3 of them, so that way I'd have one for later as a little snack, right? Like a 2,000 calorie burrito for a snack. Those habits, those are very bad habits, and they are difficult to break. But to break those, you gotta find out what works for you. For me, for that specific habit, I started going a different route because I wasn't tempted to go by there, and so by going that route, I wasn't stopping there to get those unhealthy items to consume. I have a friend who goes by a cupcake machine, and I've been trying to help him overcome that habit of every time he goes by that cupcake machine, he grabs a cupcake. That's really hard to overcome something like that because where that cupcake machine is for him was at work, and so there was like this stimulus and this reward. So he walks by cupcake machine, he gets cupcake, and then is rewarded from it with a massive sugar rush. So it's a very self-defeating cycle. He overcame that by packing a Quest bar. He prefers the Quest bars, and instead of consuming a cupcake, he would consume the Quest bar, which is much less sugar in it and is a much better choice. So he was going over and making this sort of pathway for his journey, which, like I said, that's where I started. It's great. But building your habits is quintessential. And I've made a video about the habits, so you can check that out on my YouTube channel. And once you've got your habits, you need to find your motivation. The reason why I have that habits is first because once your motivation goes away, all that's left is your habits. That's it. So find your motivation. Why are you on the journey? Is it because of health reasons? Are you doing it for family? Are you doing it for love? Or for pride? You just want to look better? Journal it. Be mindful of it, and always remember it. Keep it. Have a whiteboard on your door or near where you sleep, so somewhere where you see it every day. Write it up there. Always keep it in mind. I have a dry erase board next to my bed. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right behind me. And another thing you can do is have it on your phone. If you're on your phone a lot, just having like the reasons why you're doing what you're doing on your phone, it's a great way. On your desktop, if you're on a computer a lot, it's another way to stay mindful and to try to keep the motivation, because motivation's great. It's gives you a lot of high energy at the beginning and gets you going. But to stay consistent, it's all about the habits. So if you're having success, then you keep doing it, obviously. A lot of people say, I'm losing this much, I want to lose more. I say, don't mess with success. If it's working, keep doing it. Once it's no longer working, that's when you go in and start tweaking things. So if you're not successful, like for me, after a week or two, I was doing straight up just keto and hitting the gym 5 times a week. I wasn't successful. And it was less than 2 weeks. So why was I not successful and doing it less than 2 weeks? It's because lifestyle is not sustainable. It's as simple as that. And it took me decades to realize that. And that is a very time-consuming mistake that I hope this video clarifies and prevents others from making. Now, if it was over 2 weeks, for me, I've been on my journey for over a year and a half, or about a year and a half now. And I have had some cases where I have made poor decisions in like the number of calories I'm consuming. And I would look why I was doing that. One of the big things was traveling while working. And a lot of my travels is inside the United States, and we get paid for food, so never have to pay for any food, so everything's free, right? Free food is the best food. I don't care who you ask, it's a fact. I had to make rules, especially going to Michigan and Detroit. They have all kinds of food that's just amazing there. It minimizes the damage. It's not perfect. That's okay. Nothing has to be perfect. I do not expect perfection because it just gets in the way of progress. That's a fact. So that's it. This is the flow chart that I highly recommend utilizing in your weight loss journey if you're starting out, or if you're just not seemingly able to find your way of losing weight, it's a great reference to use. It's not absolute. Nothing is absolute. You just got to tweak things to work for you. That's really the key, is finding what works for you that is sustainable and you could manage in the long term. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Always happy to answer questions. And until then, good luck on your journey, and we're all going to make it.